I lived in the Polo Grounds. I was a big Giant fan to this day, and working for the Giants in the National League. And I was great friends with Russ Hodges, and he was wonderful to me through the years. He helped me in this business.
Well, he was one of the all-time great broadcasters, great voice, and he taught me the game and taught me to love the game and to enjoy the game, and also the history and tradition of the Giants, and to love the Giants. So, you know, another guy who grew up at the Polo Grounds and was a great Giants fan, it doesn't make sense now, but the legendary voice of the Dodgers, Vin Scully.
Sure.
Grew up not far from the Polo Grounds, went to Fordham Prep, and generally they'd play the weekday afternoon games at 3:15. And Vinny's told the story many, many times to me, because I'm always asking questions about the Polo Grounds. He'd leave school and walk down to the Polo Grounds, and he'd get a bleacher seat for a quarter or whatever it costs for a student, and he'd sit on the bleachers and watch those guys play. So Vinny's favorite was Mel Ott. So Vinny goes back pre-Willie Mays.
Sure.
Mel Ott was such a favorite for Vinny, he'd call him Ottie. To this day, he said, "Oh, I came out to look at Ottie." And you always could tell Ottie was in the game because he'd wear out the grass in right field. You know.
Another thing I'm talking about to people in baseball is adversities. Did you ever have to overcome an adversity? We all have some sort of disability or whatever that mine is visible. Some people have them that no one knows.
Well, I don't think I've had, other than, you know, maybe sometimes I don't get enough sleep, or I fly too much, or, you know, I ate too much at dinner, or, you know, and should have called for room service after a night game, or whatever. Any problems I might have had, I think, were self-inflicted, but but I know that for you to do what you do is rather remarkable. And if I understand they actually established a scholarship in your name at Seton Hall University. So
yes, they did.
If any of your viewers want to support that scholarship and it's for people who have adversity in their lives and handicaps to overcome, to help them in pursuing their education. You go online to shu.edu and look for the Ed Lucas Scholarship and make a donation and help some deserving kids to get ahead.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that, John. And you've been a great voice for me to listen to over the years. I listened to you, as I said, on XM, and I also listened on Sunday Night Baseball. And one other question, as far as leadership, you always seem to have been a leader, no matter where you're at, listening to you through the years. What does leadership mean to you?
Well, I think that leadership can be defined in many ways, but I know the guys in a clubhouse that are real leaders are guys who are not guys who shout a lot or holler a lot, but the guys who lead by example. The guys like Cal Ripken. When I did the Baltimore games for many years, I always thought Cal Ripken was a leader, but he was not an outspoken guy. Sometimes a manager would say to him, says, "Cal, maybe you could be a little more vocal with your teammates," but Cal, that was not his style. Cal was a leader in terms of being a star player on the team who led by example, that here's the way you do it. You stay prepared, and you do your work before the game, you do batting practice, you do infield practice, and you're completely ready to play the game. You get your rest every night, and you stay in shape, and you eat properly, so that the team can depend on you every day. And obviously, I think in that way he was quite a leader, because he played every single day for, what, 16, 17 years, so never missed a game. So nobody was more ready to play than Cal Ripken in my experience, and I think that's true leadership right there. And Eddie Murray was a great leader on those Orioles teams, and Cal got a lot of those qualities from Eddie, because Eddie was his idol, and he respected Eddie a great deal. And Eddie once told him, after it was obvious Cal was going to be a star player, and he was going to be in the 3, 4, 5 spots, one of those spots in the batting order every day. Eddie went to dinner with him one night and said, "You know, it's very important. When you hit 3rd, 4th, or 5th, the team is counting on you, and it's a huge letdown if you can't play in the game. You let everybody down. So you got to get your rest, and you got to eat properly, and you got to stay in shape so that you're in there every single day." And I'll never forget, 1984, both Ripken and Murray played every inning of every game. And I've never seen two teammates do it. Cal and Eddie are the only two guys I've ever seen do it, period, whether the teammates or not. So so I think that said a lot about the two of them.
One other question. What advice would you give to young men wanting to go, or women, wanting to go into this business of ours?
I think it's very important to get an education in the liberal arts, and I think it's very important to study English and literature and become familiar with the language. I have a young partner who does the radio with me with the San Francisco Giants named Dave Fleming. He was a classics major at Stanford. As I told him many times, I said, you know, you're actually a little overqualified for this particular line of work. He read the Iliad and the Odyssey in ancient Greek.
Oh boy.
So he's more qualified probably than any of us. But he also, in high school, he studied Latin, and then he took up the classical languages, and I can't say he's conversant in ancient Greek, because as he said, nobody knows how they pronounce those words. Nobody remembers how they pronounce those words from all those 2,000-3,000 years ago. But it helped him in terms of his facility with our language, with the English language, because a lot of the roots of our language are in the Latin, and so Dave is very well spoken. And I think Vin Scully is the greatest broadcaster in the game, and probably, for me, the greatest broadcaster there ever was in the game, and probably ever will be. And he got that kind of an education at Fordham Prep. He grew up studying Latin, and nobody has a better facility with the language than Vin Scully. But I think my partner Dave Fleming would give him a run for his money. So, and Dave is a joy to listen to, because those are his tools. Those are the tools of a play-by-play broadcaster. Unless you were a star major league player who is beloved by the fans before you ever broadcast a game, moving from the field to the booth, where you have the credibility of knowing the game because you played it. You have the name recognition because you were a famous player. If you don't have that going for you, then you have to have a great grasp of the English language, because those are your tools that could make you be distinguished as a professional sports broadcaster. So that's a key. I mean, you have to have a love for the game, and you have to have a passion for sports and all of that. But I think then you have to be able to put all of that together with your ability to speak the language, and I don't think that can be stressed enough. So I think for any young kid who wants to go into broadcasting, I think that's where it all begins.
John, words I cannot say. All the information that you have imparted to us right now is wonderful. I could stand here for another hour just talking with you, and just listening to you talk about baseball and life in general, and I've enjoyed it for many, many years, and I want to thank you very much.
Well, I appreciate it. I wish I could talk longer, but I got to go up and fill out my lineup card and broadcast this Giants-Mets game at Shea Stadium.
And thank you very much. This is Ed Lucas at Shea Stadium with Jon Miller, as I see it.